Gra-Gras, please welcome to the stage, Watto!
That's what I'm talking about. God! Oh my God! The effort that took! Unbelievable. Well, don't sit down yet. Come on. Let's fight it. Oh, please! Please, you flatter me. No, we don't have time for this. It's a hot show. It's a very hot show. Lot of business to get through. It's a hot show. It's a stacked lineup. A full house, a royal flush, pocket aces. I'll let all of you figure out if that metaphor tracks, if any of them do or all of them do. Here's what's going on. I'm scheduled to fly out of Austin at 7 a.m. tomorrow. I really do not want to do that. Because I love this town! But if there's one thing I love more than Austin, it's sleeping. And if there's two things I love more than Austin, it's getting drunk. And I found out they have hard kombucha in the dressing room. So I have 3 hard kombuchas I plan on drinking during this show. I also will, during this show, attempt to change my flight. I'm just setting stakes. I'm setting stakes. This is storytelling. We're in a palace of cinema. Raise your hand if you have ever before, in any form, I like the silence, consumed the George Lucas talk show. Any form, live streaming, in person, great. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you have never seen any portion of the George Lucas talk show before. Great. Hands up. Keep them up. I want to make something very clear. Because we live in scary times. We do. A divisive time. This is such a fucking safe space right now. I cannot overstate how violently safe this space is tonight. And it was with that in the back of all of our minds that I'm about to ask this question, and I want everyone to know there are no wrong answers. This is a safe space. No one will be mocked. You right there. What do you think this is? No wrong answers. Safe space.
I think this is a fun and silly time.
Correct! It is a fun and silly time with the added stakes of me trying to get the flight changed. Here's what happened, if I can bring the mood down for just a moment. About 10 years ago, a crime was committed. And in our crooked government, no justice was ever found. Crash, boom, shatter, glass, lightning. What? A father wakes up, bleary-eyed. What just happened? In his heart, he knows something horrible. He runs upstairs to confirm his suspicions. He kicks open the door to the nursery. The cradle, tipped over, empty. All that's left behind is a ransom note. Dear George Lucas, here are the $6 billion we agreed upon. Thank you for selling Star Wars to us. Sincerely, the Walt Disney Corporation. They stole it! Right from under his nose. And left with no choice but to pivot and to turn tragedy into inspiration, George began self-financing a series of experimental talk shows with a very thin premise to finally allow his other skill sets to flourish. His sparkling personality, his innate ease and comfort interacting with all human beings, and his love of discussing topics that have nothing to do with his own work. And thus, the George Lucas Talk Show began 10 years ago, and we're still searching for a network home. But I think that's all you need to know. It's a fun and silly time. Let's just quickly run through some of the beats. What do you do if something funny happens? I know I said this was a safe space and that no one was going to be attacked or criticized. That was pretty fucking discouraging. I want to restate that this is a fun and silly time. The attempt is going to be humor. Can we run one more time? What would happen if something funny happened? And maybe don't take 45 seconds to warm up to, at best, a light giggle. Okay, ready? So pretend something really funny just happened. Okay. Now pretend something lightly funny just happened. That was pretty good. I think we can even spice it up about 10%. Oversell it, but I like the attitude. Now what happens if something really sad happens? Yeah, that's like what happens if Delta tells me it's gonna cost more than $500 to change my flight. And what happens if tonight we save democracy? I think the flight thing's probably a little more achievable, but let's set 2 goals on the table. I think with that, we can start the fucking show.
Please welcome retired filmmaker George Lucas.
Hello, I'm George Lucas, creator of Star Wars.
And I am Watto, warm-up comic / announcer / sidekick.
Welcome to the George Lucas Talk Show.
How you feeling tonight, George?
Well, I had to come back and then I had to do a double. More than I.
What happened?
Well, when I made the entrance from back there, no one knew I was entering, so no one was ready for high fives.
Oh, you didn't get
so I
the
had to
fives.
go back for the fives.
I'll try to look for it further. Allow me some more time on this, please. Okay, that's the update from Delta. I'm speaking to a representative, not the droid.
Right. But we do allow droids at the screenings.
We do.
Yeah.
I just prefer that they don't rebook my flights because it tends to require asking the same question 5 times. George, it's our second show in Texas.
That's right. And it's my second show in Austin, but you've never done a George Lucas talk show in Austin.
Never done a George Lucas talk show in Austin. Last night we were in Houston, Texas.
That's right.
That's what I call it because I live in
Houston.
New York.
That's right. Classic New York City pronunciation. We're a New York-based show, even though I'm a California boy.
The last time when you did George Lucas in Austin, that was when Jar Jar was still the sidekick.
That was in the Jar. That was during the Jar Jar, the early Jar Jar years of this show.
Yes, before he got hired as a staff writer on TBS's Wrecked.
That's right.
True story.
True story.
True story. But this is so. What year was that? Was that 16?
I think it was 2015.
15.
I think so.
Wow. Coming up on the 10th anniversary of GLTS Austin 1.
That's right. I believe, true story, I believe we both got an eye infection while we were here.
You and Jar Jar.
Yeah, me and Jar Jar both, our eyelids swelled up. There was something in the air. We got an eye infection.
Wow. Well, it hasn't happened so far.
No, feeling good?
Yeah, we had the great show last night. You know, George, I know people say that everything's bigger in Texas, huh?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, but this is ridiculous.
What do we got there? I can't read from here. That's
Okay, so this says Big Texas Cinnamon Roll.
All right, I assume the locals have already had theirs today.
I'm sure we all.
The Big Texas Cinnamon Roll is, I assume, a staple.
Cup of Joe, a caffeine punch to the face, and a Big Texas Cinnamon Roll. Let's do a little, let's peel back the curtain and explain how we got to this moment. Because you're going to go home tonight, you're going to go, the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life happened. And I wonder, was that spontaneous?
When we arrived in Texas,
Yes.
Watto was very hungry. He said he found a vending machine that was selling these Big Texas Cinnamon Rolls.
At the airport. And then I walked up to George and I said, and I quote, you know, I've heard that everything's bigger in Texas, but this is ridiculous.
I laughed my head off at that joke. I said, you know, that'd be good in the show. Maybe don't eat that now. Maybe save that till. And also, I said this, Austin. I said, that's not for Houston. That's for Austin. That joke.
Yeah, it's not the Houston roll. And so I said, but I'm so hungry.
I said, well, there's machines right over there. You can go buy a second one.
I bought a second one. The second one I put on my business credit card. Because it's a work expense. It's a show prop now.
Yeah. So you ate the first one. You're going to eat the second one live on stage tonight?
We'll see how the night goes. Maybe it's a victory lap if I change the flight. But the other thing was, I don't know if you can see this, because I was holding up at this dimension. It is maybe the flattest food item I've ever seen in my life. And when I went to get the second one, as I was walking over, our producer, Patrick Cotner, who is not being introduced yet, said, why does it look like you sat on it? And I went, I don't know, it's a vending machine. And he went, maybe this time try to get one that doesn't look like you sat on it. And I swear to God, this was the less flat of the two.
That's some good producing, though. Try to get one that looks less flat.
It was, and speaking of great producing,
Yeah,
George, your lovely wife, Melody Hobson,
that's right.
this year produced her first book
That's right.
as an author.
Yes.
She produced a book from her fingertips.
Priceless Facts About Money.
Yes.
By Melody Hobson.
Yes.
This is one of Oprah's favorite things.
Yep.
It's doing very well.
Now, I've been taking the opportunity of us traveling across this okay country, doing shows to try to hit up all
I
the
think
local stores.
OK Country is a little bit north of here, Watto. He's from Tatooine. He shouldn't be expected to know geography
It's
from
true.
here.
And that was a genuine joke. That was there's no backstory to that. That was a spontaneous moment. The point is, I've been trying to hit up local bookstores in the different cities we visit and try to support the book myself with my own hard-earned money.
Thank you.
Right, to get the sales up in all of the territories, which is part of what we're doing with these shows. And so it's a little heavy. I had my Buc-ee's bag of snacks. But Patrick, can you bring out my copies of the book?
Patrick Connor, everybody.
Yes, a wonderful round of applause
For the book. For the book. This is applause for the book.
So this is 4. No, these are 5
That's
copies.
5.
Right. I purchased 3 in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You purchased 0.
I did.
At the end of the night, you said, "Can I buy one of those off of you?"
Yeah.
You know what? In fact, it was not posed as a question.
I
You said,
I'm going to buy one of these off of you.
correct.
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
2 months
Wow.
ago?
Sorry.
2 months ago?
October.
Just about? Okay.
Yep.
And then yesterday,
Yeah.
we're at the airport. You witnessed the big bun moment.
It was
Everyone's
funny.
laughing.
It was funny.
You went, "Oh, I forgot my book."
Yeah.
I went, "By the way, you never paid me for that thing."
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go, "Fine, I'll pay you now." You pull up Venmo on your phone. You start typing in 15.21.
Yeah.
I go, what's that? You go, "That's the current going price for it on Amazon." I go, "My friend, I didn't buy it on Amazon."
Yeah.
And I sure as hell didn't buy it in fucking Cyber Monday week. I paid $19.99 brick and mortar
Yeah.
plus tax.
Yeah.
You Venmo me,
2162, something like
I think it
that.
was 77.
2177.
Star Wars.
Good year.
Yeah. Yeah, great year.
Last night, the show we performed in Houston,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Houston, you said, "Oh, Barnes & Noble across the street. I should go across the street and try to get a copy of the book."
Yeah.
What happened?
I called and the guy goes, "Yeah, I think we have a copy." And then he comes back and he goes, "No, actually, it's on hold for someone." And I was like, "Is someone coming to the show with a book? Like, why did this happen?"
Yeah, here's why. Because I ordered fucking 6 of them. I sniped you.
You sniped me. And you didn't tell me you
I
sniped
cleared
me.
out the county.
Yeah.
And then I gave them as gifts to our guests on the show.
Yeah.
Which is why my number is down. Sadly, I only have 5 copies of the book now.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's so sad.
It
Are you
is.
really sorry?
Yeah.
Do you wish you could do something to increase my quantity of copies of the book? If you're really sorry, you'd do anything you could.
Yeah, Patrick, if you were really sorry, you'd do anything you could.
Patrick, if you were really sorry, you would do anything
But
you
like
could.
what?
Check behind the curtain.
Oh no.
Is that where it is? Yeah. No. Okay. Just guide Patrick. You
You'll
can't
do-
what?
Patrick, be careful. That is a vintage Radioland Murders poster in mint condition.
I'm sorry. Do you want to say that again onto the mic?
I'm gonna do. Watto, this is crazy. That
There's
was exactly
nothing
how I
crazy
said it.
about supporting a dear friend.
Oh my God, Watto.
And here's the other thing. Here's
Yeah.
the other thing about priceless facts about money.
Yeah.
It's the only book where buying it is a good investment. You make back the cost of that book.
You're right.
I
You're right.
promise you, 1 million-fold. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Producing.
Hey, why don't you produce that Radioland Murders poster back to where it was?
Can we introduce? Let's bring the guests out.
George, you got a great show tonight. I don't know why we're wasting time on Patrick's rearranging when we got great guests to bring out.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it then. Let's bring them out.
Grogos and Glaudas, please welcome to the stage Matt Zoller, Seitz, Brandon Wainerdi, Andrew Bujalski, and Brian Taylor.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Brian, you got a book, Brian. We didn't tell you this. Brian's lost. Oh, you want this one? Okay.
This isn't the Shelley Duvall thing?
That's the other theater, maybe? I will say this. We did run out of mics, so we're going to have to do a little bit of sharing. But it'll be fine.
Will it be fine, Patrick? I noticed you found a mic, Patrick.
That's true.
Got in there right at the last second, didn't you?
Yeah.
Scooped one up before our guests came here. That's pretty wonderful hosting.
I flew in,
Oh.
you know?
Well, I want to welcome. We've got what a great brain trust of filmmakers and people who write about and explore the nature of film. So I expect this will be a very highbrow conversation about cinema. Watto, how's that flight status coming?
Entering payment information. It's looking good.
I don't know what they said.
What was it? What was said? What was spoken?
I'll do it when the flight is booked.
Oh, I see. You noticed the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles trading cards. You were admiring those. You want? No, you can have, but you got to open. No.
You got to open it. On
you got
the
to
show.
open them up if you want one. We're not just going to allow these to stay in their foil wrappers.
Let's give Brian a mic so he can describe what he's unwrapping here.
Yeah,
like, what
this would be a great way to start the show out. Got the glasses on, ready to see and read.
Okay.
Let's see what we get.
Let's get a little cheering.
Oh man, this is
All right.
fire. Who's that guy?
I don't know. You're looking at the puzzle side, it seems like.
Young Indy meets Albert Schweitzer.
Young Indy meets Albert Schweitzer. Who could forget?
That classic episode.
Our favorite young archaeologist to be meets Albert Schweitzer.
That was a cliffhanger, I think. wasn't it?
Oh.
Indy writes to Ned concerning his war thoughts.
Indy writes to Ned concerning his war thoughts.
Oh, it's not done now. There's
Oh.
more. He cannot sleep. The next day, Indy finds Remy at the hospital where he is recovering from his battle wounds.
Oh my God.
That's it.
That's it. It's great. These cards are getting more applause than the episodes did. Because people watch them at home where you don't applaud typically. They never were seen in this kind of social setting with an audience. And now you're just sort of shuffling through. You got what you needed out of this.
I'm looking for the hollow.
For the hollow? Oh, wait. Oh, 3D glasses. What a bonus. What a great piece of merch.
Okay, it's got instructions. Pop out.
Pop out.
Is there a 3D card we should be finding in this deck?
Be
I
careful.
don't think it'll pop through the.
Don't bend them for mint condition.
Well, they're yours now. You can do what you like
Not
with
anymore.
them. Yeah?
Is there a 3D card that they give you?
I don't see a 3D card in the deck.
Well, that's why you got to buy more packs of cards. It's very smart. Don't put the 3D card in the same
Oh,
packet.
wait. To view, sorry, is this it? Oh, I found it. Okay, to view young Indiana Jones three-dimensionally, pull out the card, place in front of your eyes,
Wonderful advice.
and
Now, these are not prescription, though.
And now-
and three-dimensionally view young Indy.
And now, can you just
Best $126 I ever spent in my life. I love this town.
now can we describe what we're seeing on this card?
I
Can't.
See, because you're in a dilemma because you wear glasses for
Yeah,
vision.
it's not designed for the aged.
Yeah, we didn't market these towards people who are adults. These are for children.
But I mean, it's clearly. What in 2D? I can tell you, it's young Indy.
Okay. Young Indiana Jones. Henry Jones Jr. as a child.
And he's in some kind of
Trouble?
well, maybe old place.
Old place. He would be in
Place an
before
archaeologist, yeah.
his day is done. He will be in many an old place, seeking ancient treasures.
Yeah, that's what he seems to.
Sometimes he'll use the dial of destiny to go back to when old places were newer.
do. Maybe you can see it better.
Thank you. No. And to be clear to the audience, this is not Sean Patrick Flannery.
Right,
this-
because I was going to say
This
there's
is
two
this is
young
this
Indies.
is
Is this
Wary.
friend of the show Corey Carrier
it
as
is
child
Corey
Indy?
Carrier child Indiana
Child.
Jones.
Okay. In
Very
old
nice.
place.
An old place. Sorry, if you wanted to see it.
Matt, did you watch the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles when they aired on television? Did you watch any of them?
I watched religiously none of them.
So you never saw it?
No, my roommate was really into it, and I remember him telling me that every week he would run into, like, say, Albert Schweitzer or Amelia Earhart or, John Steinbeck. I think he saved him.
Norman Rockwell
from
ran
falling
into
into a mill.
Norman Rockwell once.
And were there paintings? I didn't see.
Not yet. It was young Norman Rockwell.
You don't remember that famous scene where Indiana Jones meets Norman Rockwell and he's sketching with a pencil and he's like, too bad, this is the best I'll ever do.
He stares at it and he goes,
George, you have a version of that on your desk.
Yeah, I have a little action figure, a little Norman Rockwell action figure where he's painting and he's looking in the mirror and he's painting himself and he's Norman Rockwell. Pretty good action figure. The Norman Rockwell action figures are ceramic, mostly. There are some larger dolls, but they're all for gentle play, which is befitting his work because the stories at Norman Rockwell, I don't know how familiar anyone is. My buddy Steve and I wrote a book called Telling Stories, Norman Rockwell, because my buddy Steve and I are the world's biggest collectors of Norman Rockwell paintings, and Norman Rockwell paintings typically tell a story in one frame.
if Norman Rockwell were going to do a painting of you, what story would it be telling?
Maybe I'm making a movie. Or maybe I'm building my museum in Los Angeles. There's all sorts of stories. Or maybe I'm just out promoting my wife's book, Priceless Facts About Money. That would be a great painting. Because the thing is, like, most of my career has been devoted to cinema or movies, where you use 24 frames, 48 frames, depending on how you're shooting, many frames per second in order to convey the illusion of motion, in order to show that these things are moving. Norman Rockwell, he did paintings, which I like to refer to as stillies. Because movies move, but stillies remain frozen in one moment in time. But you can see the story being told. Oh, it looks like that little girl's been in a fight, and soon she'll be speaking to the principal because she has 2 black eyes. Or maybe something else happened. We don't know. He doesn't give us those answers.
You know that painting of the guy standing up at the town meeting to tell
Yeah.
the truth, the much memed image? There we go. Yes.
Yeah.
So if Norman Rockwell were alive and he were able to redo that painting with you, what really important question would you be standing up to ask or statement would you want to say?
Can you stand up?
Oh, yeah. It's easy. My wife has a new book out. It's called Priceless Facts About Money. And I'm standing in a room full of people, none of them visibly having copies, and I don't have one on me myself.
Now,
So it's as much what you don't show as what you do. See how the story is told? It would be a different painting if it was me holding a copy of the book. And you know, Norman Rockwell, he worked in his own medium. It's very easy if people want to make a version of that painting where he's holding, maybe he's got a copy of it tucked under his arm, and maybe everybody else in there also has copies. If you see someone's hand, you can always put a copy near the hand. Maybe some of them are balancing a copy on their heads. It's a very different story if he's in a room full of people who all have the book.
Well, I think he's a little less brave, though, if that's the case, if they all have the book.
Oh, of course. The bravery is reduced by percentages with each copy of the book that appears. And then it becomes a different story. It's not a story of courage, but it's a story of a hard-fought and hard-won battle to create a best-selling children's book.
now George.
It's also a stilly, so like afterwards, all those people could stand up in a Spartacus moment after him, being like,
I'm fucking sorry. It's also a stilly?
Yeah, that's what. Oh, you weren't paying attention because you were buying your ticket.
Oh, okay.
You missed all of that.
Watto, did you miss that paintings, like movies are moving pictures and stillies are paintings that are single-frame movies?
You know,
I was like, I'm not insane.
when George says it, it's pretty funny.
I know.
I did, I mean, the painting you just described is a tragedy, of course. One brave man standing in a room, 0 copies of Priceless Facts About Money sold. And I've been doing my part. The 16 copies I bought simply in the state of Texas in the last 24 hours has allowed me in my generosity to gift them to our guests, right? It's our equivalent of a Jimmy Fallon mug or shot glass or whatever the fuck he gives out, right? I did notice that it seems like there's an extra copy.
I feel like a
floating
fool.
around.
I brought my own copy. It's
You-
underneath your seat, I believe.
You purchased the copy yourself.
I purchased a day up, the first day.
Open! You lined up! You slept outside the store! buy a copy at the
Formality.
opening?
You did, and here I am, like a fool. I have now a free copy.
It seemed like he was too embarrassed to admit it when you were handing them out to the rest of the people that he already had one.
Look,
Okay.
Who is more fool? The fool who has 3 copies or the fool who has none?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking pretty fucking foolish right about now, huh? In your eyes, Patrick?
Yeah. Brandon, a few of you up here have written books. You've written books. You've also written books. Can you compare, do you think that this would be an easier or hard book to write than the books that you have worked on?
I think this is a very hard book to write. I don't know if you've looked at it yet.
I flipped it open briefly, and I can say for a fact that I could never write a book like this because it concerns math.
There's not that much math in here.
There's like a little pluses and minuses, but that's too much for me.
For sure.
George, what are you looking
Checking
at?
your book for math.
Oh, he's looking through your book.
I'm looking for math in one of your books, The Soprano Sessions. I bet there's some math in here. Oh, look, first thing I see. Footnote number 68.
That's right.
That's math.
That's a number.
You're either subtracting things from the main text and then you're adding them as the footnotes. And you've done it 68 times. You're having to keep track of every time there's something that you don't want to be in the main part of the text, but you want it to be on the same page as the text.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
That's constant math. Imagine writing a book where on every page you subtract things and then add them to a new section at the bottom of the page, and then you number those things, and you say you're not a mathematician.
You got
Season 3, that's math. What do you think 1, 2, 3 is, if not math? Those are numbers, and that's math. Now, if these were inaccurate, then I'd say, yes, you've written about season 3 and you were writing about season 1, but I don't think you did that.
No, it was elves. It was Watto.
I'm very good at math. It's a positive stereotype.
I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Weren't you a junk dealer at one time?
Yes.
What
yes.
happened to your junk shop?
I still run it, of course. Yeah, you need to put your money to work. Exactly. This is a priceless fact. Open up your notebook. Here's a priceless fact about money for you.
You've also franchised.
I have.
You have one in Nantucket, too.
But this was, yes, I do. That was the one. Look, okay, here's the answer. You might remember canonically when you see the junk shop in Phantom Menace, I got all these fucking pit droids running around. You're like, what's this guy doing lousy with pit droids? They were shadowing me, okay? They were my apprentices, and now I put them to work, and they're running the shops everywhere. The one I like the most is the one in Martha's Vineyard.
Now, I heard that that you sued Sebulba over something. What was that about?
He was fixing races. He was, yes. It was a bit of an issue for me. I mean, I will admit I made some bad bets in my time. We're all familiar with my history, my past, right? I mean,
should we have a guest read it?
Yeah, just
Who wants to read the cup besides Brandon? Because Brandon knows it all.
I know it already.
Do any of you guys want to read this cup about Watto?
Brian, would you like to? Okay.
Yeah. Andrew, go ahead.
I've been assigned the cup here.
It's on the
There's
back.
a lot in this cup.
This is a Taco Bell cup. It's filled with water. I got to fight the kombucha somehow.
Watto is a junk dealer, quotes in quotes, who lives on the remote desert planet of Tatooine. Watto loves haggling and betting on pod races more than anything. Betting on a pod race is how he won his 2 slaves. Anakin and Shmi Skywalker from Gardula the Hutt. Copyright Lucasfilm Limited and TML.
KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut.
That was $1.99 with a kid's meal from Taco Bell.
Now, Brandon, let's go a little deeper than that.
sure.
Let's go right into the Star Wars Encyclopedia.
Thank you.
Entry for Watto. Watto, species Toydarian, homeworld Toydaria.
Right.
Affiliation, Watto's shop. An injured Toydarian veteran. Watto is yes, full respect. Thank you for your service.
Watto, I don't think we've ever talked about that, Watto.
He doesn't. You know what? His generation didn't talk about it. They came back and they rebuilt the country.
And by the way, show some respect. I'm still serving to this day.
Yeah.
What are you
In the fucking culture wars.
Oh, boy.
On the front lines.
I'm
on
the front
lines, baby.
And I'll let everyone guess which side I'm on. I'm jumping back and forth over the line. I'm playing both sides.
Watto is the proprietor of a junk shop
Yeah.
and scrapyard in Mos Espa.
Yeah, and Martha's
As well as an inveterate gambler. It's a disease. I added that part. You should. Next edition, can you add it's a disease?
The book is for children, but I could try.
Oh, let's not tell children about diseases.
I think you should put the gambling hotline phone number on the bottom of the book.
Good idea, actually.
The way that podcasters need to do when they do ads for gambling services.
Hey, front row kid, do you know about diseases?
Yeah.
Right?
He's nodding.
Front row father, you told your kid about diseases? They can handle it.
What's your favorite disease?
Great question.
He's thinking.
Dad's feeding him an answer.
Front row dad, front row kid teaming up.
The show's not going to move on until we hear from you, front row kid.
He said the woke mind virus.
I see.
Amen.
I see we have one of Watto's kids, part of your charitable foundation.
Of course, it's my mentoring program, Watto's Kids.
Every year on Memorial Day, Watto holds a telethon to help defeat the woke mind virus in children.
I gather a bunch of kids into a high school gymnasium, and they want you to be embarrassed?
Brandon, the point I'm making
Yeah.
is that Star Wars is for kids, but one of the main things that happens in just the fourth movie alone is that an entire populated planet is blown up on purpose.
To teach a lesson.
Yeah, to teach them a lesson?
Amen.
Oh my gosh. All right. So, as well as an inveterate gambler and an avid fan of pod racing.
Love this stuff.
In a wager over a pod race with another gambler, Gardula the Hutt, Watto wins and becomes the latest enslaver of Shmi Skywalker and her son Anakin. It's a book for kids. Both of whom are skilled mechanics. You know, in the movie, we never really explore how skilled a mechanic Shmi is, and I regret that. Some years later, after Qui-Gon Jinn tries to buy a used hyperdrive motivator from Watto, the latter is simultaneously intrigued. Watto, give us your best intrigued. And perturbed. When the stranger proposes a wager that may result in Watto either losing Anakin or winning a starship.
Oh, God, I do love free starships.
Watto loses the bet, and Anakin is freed, allowing him to leave Tatooine, yippee, to become a Jedi. Without Anakin's mechanical aptitude, Watto's business soon declines.
I maybe should have waited like 15 minutes before answering your question.
Is that why you moved to Nantucket?
The islands.
And he sells Shmi to moisture farmer Klieglars. When Anakin returns to Mos Espa in search of his mother, Watto gives him a lead on Shmi's whereabouts. I want to see a limited series about how once Anakin is no longer there,
They're going to have one.
Shmi, a skilled mechanic, somehow is not enough to keep that business afloat.
Yeah. When you say limited series, you mean like Ryan Murphy presents Monster: Watto?
Yeah. I just want to see once this child laborer is gone, how the business falls into disrepair.
George, I had a question for
Yeah.
you. I have so many questions because when am I ever going to be on a stage with George Lucas again? But my first one is, what does the Hutt mean? Like everybody is always Jabba the Hutt, Gabagool the Hutt. What is the Hutt? Like I never found out what that meant.
They're Hutts.
It's like Matt the human.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or like if you were on the stage with the people who write the Clifford the Big Red Dog books, would you ask them the same question? What does the Big Red Dog mean? I have read these Clifford books. Clifford the Big Red Dog. What is Big Red Dog?
I
How
thought
am I
maybe it was
supposed to
a
answer
term.
that?
I thought it was a term of endearment or respect or something like the
You
Viceroy.
thought the Hutt was a term of endearment?
You got a guy named Watto on the stage.
Yeah, that's a term of endearment. I Watto you.
Yeah, no, it's just they're huts, and huts they scooch around, and they do what they do. I'm glad to answer your question.
I'm glad I asked it.
I want to talk cinema with my 2 filmmakers. That's right, because I can't see every movie, but I try to see as many movies as I can, and I like when I'm talking to other filmmakers. I want to see if how we're so like. First of all, have you ever seen any of my movies? Did you like them?
What was your name again?
Oh, let's not do bits.
Yeah, okay.
Let's not do bits. I know we talked before the show. I know you like me.
I love you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I do. I've seen many of your movies.
What was the first memory you have?
Well, we were talking about before. I mean, I had to convince my parents to take me to go see Star Wars. I stood in line for that movie, and we all loved it. It was great.
I feel like you and I share a love of fast filmmaking, of a certain kind of velocity in film. Would you say that's fair?
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Things that go fast?
Yeah.
Do you not like them?
No, I like things that go fast.
Yeah. From what I've seen, you love things that go fast.
I do.
Yeah.
You have a lot of fast things in your movies.
Yeah.
Brian, we're gonna name some movies that you made.
Yeah.
The Crank movies.
The heart rate, it's got to stay fast.
That's true. That's
Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance.
Riding a fast motorbike.
Gamer. The new Hellboy movie, Mom and Dad, which I love and saw in theaters. Big Mom and Dad fan over here.
Thank you. American Graffiti, that's got fast stuff.
Fast cars.
Fast cars, racing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Car flips over.
It
Oops.
flips over because it went too fast.
It went too fast. It didn't flip over going too slow. I'll tell you that.
Takes a lot of work to flip a car over when it's going slow.
It never would have occurred to me to make a movie where they got to keep the heart rate of the main character fast. That's fast. That's speed right there.
Yeah. It never would have occurred to me to.
Oh yeah, that was an original stroke of genius.
It was a stroke.
All the characteristics of Watto came to me, and it was like no one's ever done this kind of character before in film.
Imagine if the two of you worked together and were able to make a movie about Watto's heart rate needing to go very fast.
The things he would do to keep his heart rate.
Yeah, tried to change his flight on Delta. Brian, I'm a huge fan of Gamer. It's the reason I shouted out when Patrick was doing the rundown. I think it's a film that was sorely overlooked in its time.
It was actually very overlooked, yeah.
Wildly overlooked. And I saw it first run in theaters, and I went, why the fuck are people not losing their minds for this shit? I think it's like stellar entertainment, but it's actually also like a pretty trenchant commentary on our relationship to media and violence that has only gotten more sadly attuned with our culture in the time since. Is there a reason you didn't cast me in that film?
It's not too late.
Okay.
Oh, special edition.
Okay.
But also, Gamer sort of fell into that cinematic pit. That 2009 to 2012, where there were a lot of Red Tails also went right into that. There were movies that that everyone should have seen, but I feel like sometimes a film's too cool and people miss how good it is.
I feel that way about Red Tails too. Like they always ask, what's a movie you wish you would have made?
You use your wish on Red Tails?
I would use it. Yeah.
Oh, I'd be
I mean,
so
your
mad
Red Tails would be insane. Like, I would actually love to see your Red Tails.
What do you mean, actually?
I don't think you were going for insane when you helped make that movie,
No, you
George.
said I would actually like to see.
No, I was saying, like, actually, I would like to see that movie. That's it.
Oh, you've changed your tone completely.
That was not the tone.
I don't know a lot about
Tails.
acting, but I know a different line read when I hear one.
There's a lot of fast things in Red Tails.
There's super fast things.
Really
there's
fast.
Airplanes, there's trains, there's Nazis.
Wait, but okay, I gotta.
You don't think Nazis are fast? They did pretty quick work as far as I could tell. That's right. Bad. Always the villain.
Is it because the tails of the airplanes are red? Is that what it was?
Red Tails?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were you drafting questions backstage with Matt?
Andrew, I've got copies of a couple of your movies up here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Support the girls, which is
Love Support the Girls.
Wonderful.
which is what I did when I made the film Strange Magic by making a film for girls. And computer chess.
You got the Blu-ray. Good for you. Thank you.
Gotta have the Blu-ray. Digital. I'm not gonna have a.
No, believe me, I know.
Yeah, you screen it anywhere. It's not like a 35 millimeter print.
No.
Because that's analog technology.
That's very analog.
Tried to destroy it as much as I could.
I know.
To make everything digital.
But computer chess was largely shot on video. Majority on
It was
video.
entirely, but it was analog video.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's the film section. There's the little bit of.
Ooh, you're good. Yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about.
There's a little bit of 16 millimeter.
Just a dash.
Because I love it.
And then the video kills the 16 millimeter.
That's right. Yeah.
It stomps it down.
A kind of a commentary on the Lucas era, I guess, right?
Expand on that.
Well, who has done more, certainly in the arts, certainly in our art, to bring us from the analog to digital age than this guy right here.
What has two thumbs and has certainly done more to bring us into the digital age?
Absolutely. And you look to the future. You live in the future. I have trouble.
No, I don't live in the future. I live in California.
Sometime. That's the future. We live in Texas.
That's right.
So I have trouble sometimes with the future, and
I would say all my exes live in Texas, but I don't know where Marsha lives.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I don't care. I don't care either. Live wherever you want. I don't care where she lives. It's a free country. Leave the country for all I care. I don't care.
You got to keep the stained glass. She couldn't take it with her.
Yeah, all right, okay.
George is blushing at that joke. You seem genuinely embarrassed by what I just said.
George.
Yeah.
Your face is bright red.
George, talk to the filmmakers on stage about the stained glass and see if they would be in the same situation as you.
All right. So, and this is not, I'm not telling tales out of school. There's a biography of me in which they essentially told all. I didn't talk to them, but they, Brian J. Jones wrote a book. In the book, it describes that I commissioned a beautiful stained glass window in the at Skywalker Ranch in the library area. It's a work of art, and I was cuckolded by the man who made it. But it's still there. I kept the stained glass.
You got to separate the art from the art.
That's right.
You got divorced. You kept the stained glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other people would have, gotten rid of it, and I'm sure if there are many other people, and that everyone has a different reaction to things, but it's a beautiful work of art. I'm not going to destroy it.
Do you guys think you would have done that as well? You're filmmakers, so it's like similar situation, You guys both have libraries, I assume.
I think
How is it a similar situation?
I don't know. Filmmakers.
Filmmakers have libraries. Libraries have glass windows.
Yeah.
Some have stained glass windows. And sometimes the people who make those stained glass windows did things that could, in another person's way of viewing the world, could be tarnished by that.
I should things ever go that direction with my wife, and God forbid, I think she would have the house.
So she would keep the stained glass.
She would have the house and the stained glass.
Give her half of your fortune.
I would. That's the thing, George. That's the thing.
Okay. Oh, your main thing is your house guy?
No.
I'm a wife guy. Well, I'm a wife guy. You're a house guy?
Me too.
Yeah.
I see you're a wife guy.
Yeah, I'm a wife guy.
You and me. My wife's an
wife guy.
author. You know, I didn't brush it about
Also,
12
Your wife's
copies of
an
her
author.
book. Yes, like Melody Hobson.
Can we talk about your wife's books?
We can.
Hey, absolutely. If a guest on this show, we talk about our wife's books. If
It's
we
an
have a
open
guest and the wife
invitation.
has a book, we talk about it.
Yeah.
I should have asked that first. I should have led with that. We talk about our wife's books on this show. Priceless facts about money. Let's talk about your wife's books.
Do we have any Karen Olsen fans out there? Anybody? There we go.
Look at that.
There we go. You'll love this. My wife's most recent book was about math.
Oh, like the Sopranos sessions.
Like the Sopranos sessions.
Hey, the S looks like the number 5. Look how many 5s are in that. The 5 5. 5. Anyway, it's about math.
It's about math, man, but it's about philosophy, and it's kind of a weird hybrid fiction, nonfiction memoir.
Now we're starting to get into young Indiana Jones territory. So it's a hybrid.
Yeah. It does have some. It's also about Simone Weil and her brother Andre Weil. So there's a lot going on, a lot of layers. It's for smart people, like I'm sure all of you.
All right. What's the most recent title of the book?
It's only had one title.
Okay. Well, no. I mean, it's not part of a series.
No.
Okay, standalone. What's the title of the book?
Special edition. It's called The Weil Conjectures. Weil. As in Simone Weil, the philosopher, and her brother Andre Weil, the mathematician. We're going to sell so many copies tonight. I'm very excited.
The Weil Conjectures.
The Weil Conjectures.
The Weil Conjecture, and it's spelled like veil, like the painted veil, or
but with a W.
With a W. The veil.
I don't speak French, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. You guys know what to do. You got some book
Thank
shopping
you.
to do when the show is over. I also don't mind, we don't like people on their phones during the show, but if you take your phone out and you start buying books during the show, that's fine. That's the one thing we allow. You can take pictures or whatever, but also if you got your phone out and you're just buying books during the show, we don't frown on that.
We should ask, did anyone bring a copy of Priceless Facts About Money tonight?
You all left your copies at home?
Besides Brandon?
That makes sense.
Brandon bought one.
You don't want to damage them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on Oprah's favorite things list. I know Oprah made everybody mad here decades ago about beef. Right? Remember she fought with the beef farmers?
Oh, yeah.
I hope you're not taking that out of my wife's book. That's an old fight, and I think Oprah even may have apologized for it. I want to make sure, I don't know if we got an audience full of beef farmers that are holding off on a book they want to buy because of some old feud with Oprah and the beef farmers of Texas.
Now, Brian, I was at the New York Comic-Con panel for Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, and I remember seeing footage of you guys making that movie on the cameras, hanging on the motorcycles, flying through the sky. It's insane. Rollerblades, yeah. Like, literally, like, holding onto a motorcycle going, I don't know how fast it was. How fast would that have been? Very fast, right?
Very fast.
Very fast. George also was a cameraman early in his career. Did you know about that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
And also loves motorcycles, too.
Yeah. I like fast stuff.
You were a war photographer, right?
What?
You were like a war photographer, right?
Well, I
Combat photographer.
Well, I was at Altamont. I was working on Gimme Shelter. Walter Murch and I were cameramen on that documentary. That was my first IMDb credit. We were up on the hillside. My camera jammed. The film jammed, so none of my footage got used. But I was there that day, and the person got killed, and they made a great documentary.
So two equally dangerous situations. You're hanging on a motorcycle.
I was thinking about Russ Meyer. I'm sorry.
Oh, he likes big boobs.
I get it. It makes sense. Faster.
But that's not. But yeah.
Like he likes fast things and boobs.
Right. But that's fast. And Russ Meyer is built for comfort. George Lucas is built for speed.
Exactly. George likes fast things and taping boobs down. That's the difference between the two.
I mean, there are bosoms in my movies, but not to the. I would never want to compete with Russ, who's an excellent filmmaker, who was an excellent filmmaker. Fast edits, because he didn't like blinks. He didn't like when people blinked in a scene. So he would often, if you watch his films, and you'll wonder why are they cutting so often, it's because he was often edit before the actor got a chance to blink. Because he loved big boobs, but he hated human blinks. So he would edit before the blink happened. Yeah. So you watch it and you think, why is this cutting so fast? It's because you never see the characters blink.
Did you have, what was the scariest moment when you were doing a stunt like that while holding a camera? Do you have any moments where you're like, oh, this might be a problem?
Also, I mean, with Ghost Rider, his head is on fire, so it must be tough to
that's
get close
that's
enough
really dangerous
with
when
the
that
camera
happens.
but not touch him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any actual danger. You know, like it's all kind of dangerous because it's like our philosophy was always like if it really is dangerous, then it'll feel dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have
It's actually
any...
like you know, to be honest, you know, it was sort of like it was sort of a pushback against the a lot of digital action.
Mm-hmm. Hey now,
which can tend to feel, and please don't take this personally, but it can tend to feel like the whole movie was made on a computer and there's just guys sitting around with cups of coffee, sort of like, you know.
Oh, I don't take that personally. I take that professionally.
Looking calmly at screens.
And those guys with cups of coffee are some of my best friends in the world.
You know, which is great, but to me, I always like, if I'm watching an action movie, I want to feel like somebody might have gotten seriously hurt or
Did you
maybe
ever
even killed.
have a serious injury during a production, you yourself?
No, I was a little slightly too smart to get a serious injury, but I always told the stunt people, if you ever get injured, if you break a bone, or you know, get cut, sent to the hospital in any way, I promise I will use that take. Always use that take.
Yeah. How much pushback did you have from like the studios being like, we don't want you doing this because we need you to finish this movie?
They didn't like me very much.
Yeah.
So there was no pushback at all.
Oh, okay. That's not where I thought that was going to go. Okay. Great.
But you're a professional though, so you would take every possible measure to make sure it's safe though, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like, I mean, we were not shooting in Indonesia or something, so it's like, you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, you take a lot of precautions, but you know, it's kind of inevitable when things move really fast. Sometimes bad things happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andrew, not to make an assumption, your movies to the eye read as being a little safer behind the scenes. I don't know what's happening.
Mostly safe, but you know, we had an overzealous stuntman who I loved. But on Support the Girls, there's a scene where James LeGro's driving. He's supposed to tap the brake. Someone cuts him off, and he's supposed to tap the brake and yell at the guy. And so we had a stunt driver to tap the brake. But on take one, he got excited, and we were on a real highway, and he careened off, and the police officers were very mad at us. They didn't want us to do that, and the stunt driver, who was a great guy, was like, I had to, you know, he had to get one.
Right.
One.
Did you use that take?
Hell no. He was supposed to tap on the brake.
Right.
We used one where he tapped on.
Right. Because that was your original vision.
Well, that was what was in the script, and that was what the
story... That was your original vision.
The story would have gone in a different direction if the truck had careened off the highway.
Right. Right.
So that was dangerous.
Yeah.
But speaking of, you know, that's what's in the script, people for a long time, and maybe now this has waned, but I feel like for a long time people mistakenly thought your films employed a lot of improv because they are so conversational, but your things are very tightly scripted, are they not?
It's both, man. I mean, I'll
Okay,
take a good improv when somebody makes some shit up and it's good.
You like good shit.
I like good shit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's on the page or not. It's you know, you want it to feel alive on screen. It's kind of an old...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, improv is like verbal action.
Improv is like verbal action. Totally.
The more the more improv, the more it's kind of like an action movie, but just with talking and stuff.
And it's all data. I mean, if you don't like someone's face in one take, you just take that face, put it on the body in another take. Like, I get what you guys are talking about. It's all...
But
it's
George,
all just whatever you
George.
get. You make something up. It's all ones and zeros ultimately. It's
you have a few years on me, right? So you spent a long time.
Wait, are you 80?
In the
because I'm 80.
Okay, I'm getting there. I feel like.
Well, if you're not 80, then yeah, I'm way ahead of you.
You're way ahead of me. You're way ahead of me. You were shooting at Altamont. You spent a lot of time in the analog world before you.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Wrecked it. Yeah.
Hated it there. It's full of sand.
But you knew your way around.
You know that's what that speech is about. Like, I love pixels. I hate sand. Because sand is like real life pixels come to life and they get everywhere. But a digital sand is great. You can do whatever you want with it.
Who's the most famous person who was in one of your movies who got injured? For George.
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Who would it have been? I mean, people have been. Emotionally, probably Ahmed Best, yeah. or no, emotionally, no, maybe, yeah. A number of the actors suffered after the films came out, just from us showing the films to people. But like, you can't blame me for that. I'm gonna show them to people. But in the actual production, I think we've been pretty safe.
I feel like Brandon would know this answer. Injuries on Star Wars sets?
I don't think.
It's like it's some
Lucasfilm.
stunt
Let's not
guys,
limit it
too.
to Star Wars. Lucasfilm.
There is Warwick Davis got food poisoning.
George.
And you
That's
probably that was probably your
catering.
craft
I'm
services,
not in
though.
charge of catering.
You're the director.
No, I know, but that's not film. What happens at Crafty is not part
George,
of
the
cinema.
executive
I'm sorry.
producer is
Sure.
in charge of everything that happens on set. We just went through a giant trial about this. Remember?
Yeah, I know, and it wasn't about people who pooped and peed and threw up afterwards.
Patrick, you have to admit it wasn't about people who pooped and peed.
I guess I have to, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's also, I mean, I know that, what's his name, from the Limey, Terrence Stamp. I know that he was very hurt when he realized he wasn't getting to meet young Natalie Portman.
Right, who was
because he was
16.
Who was 16, and he showed up, and I said, he said, "Where's Natalie Portman? I can't wait to meet her." And I thought, oh, okay. And I thought, this is good we did it this way. Here's a tennis ball in an empty room. That's Natalie Portman to you. And he was like, I thought I was going to meet a real 16-year-old Natalie Portman. Of course, the age of consent in the UK is 16.
I wouldn't know.
So I don't know what he intended.
Okay.
I'm not saying he intended to break the law.
Sure.
But then he was very upset, and they said, "Oh, I'm not coming back for episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I won't be back for that."
What would he have done in episode 2? Because
Would have worn a little hat.
Hey, look at me little hat, boy. And hopefully get to talk to Natalie Portman. You know, just
Natalie,
like that.
what do you think of this hat here?
Oh, you tell him I'm coming to film episode 2. Tell him I'm coming. Yeah, so he was very hurt. I felt bad. I thought, oh, he thought he was going to get to act with another actor. Instead, he acted opposite a tennis ball. But, you know, wounded pride of an aging man. 'Tis not so bad. 'Tis no tragedy, I say.
I feel like the most injuries were on Return of the Jedi, and you weren't really around too much.
You didn't
for
direct that
one.
movie.
That was a Richard Marquand
Yeah.
joint.
Guys were falling into pits in the sand.
Yeah, he
and-
directed that movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Just look at every copy of that movie. It says directed by Richard Marquand.
You definitely were not around for that at
Yeah,
all.
and then shortly after the movie came out, he was no longer around.
So
It's just something that happens.
I heard that David Lynch at one point was going to direct Return of the Jedi.
I asked him to, and I showed
He's
him
the
around.
first choice. Yeah.
I showed him around, and he didn't get a good feeling, so he decided to direct Dune. And then he decided, but that's him figuring out that he didn't really like. He wouldn't have had a fun time making Return of the Jedi. I would have liked to have seen what he did with it, but I think he ultimately figured out pretty quickly that he wanted to do his own thing.
I'll say this. I don't think he would have had a fun time making Return of the Jedi. I think he would make a great film about Warwick Davis having food poisoning. That sounds like his kind of subject matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Warwick Davis like throwing up a bunch of cream corn.
Yeah.
Sounds exactly like a movie he would have liked to make, but that wasn't what.
No,
that wasn't what
Return of the Jedi might
Episode
have been
6
a
was
slog
ever
for
going to
him.
be about.
But he could have been hit with major inspiration during filming.
Yeah.
Watto,
Yes.
if David Lynch had directed Return of the Jedi, what do you think would have been different?
What do I think would have been different? That's a great question. Probably more jokes.
I think there would have been different lines. Like I could imagine a scene where like Luke is down in the prisoner, he's being held prisoner, and he says, "Why are there people like Jabba? Or why are there huts like Jabba?
There you go.
Why are there huts like Jabba?
Yeah.
Why are there the huts like Jabba?"
If Lynch had been able to play like an imperial officer, I think it would have been worth it.
I think, well, the thing is, and I've never talked about this
Yeah.
before, that obviously we got Ian McDermott to play the Emperor.
Right.
I did, in my back pocket, I did sort of think it might be fun to see David hop into the role, and he could have been the Emperor. It would have been
Don't be so mean to your father. He's trying his best.
That, I assure you, that Death Star is fully operational. Your friends will be killed any moment now.
Gee Willikers, the Force is strong with that one.
That's it. Feel your anger. Give in to your hate.
I love the idea of him having to come back every time they want to put the Emperor in a new movie. They're like, oh, we gotta call David again, I guess.
Somehow I have returned.
I'd like a word with my granddaughter. Ray, it's me, your grandfather.
No, it can't be true.
It is true. I assure you.
But you're evil.
I'm not so bad. But he didn't want to do it. So, it's so weird because, when he showed up at the end of my buddy Steve's Fablemans, I was like, oh, look, he kind of got to play a sort of like crotchety old emperor of cinema.
He was the Palpatine of that picture.
It definitely, if you watch the end of the Fablemans, you can see a little glimpse in his John Ford of how Palpatine could have been.
Yeah. There's that part where Sammy Fableman says, I want to make movies someday. And he goes, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Final cuts. Yeah.
Brandon, let's talk about the encyclopedia. The new Star Wars encyclopedia that came out. Brandon's one of the co-authors on it.
Let's pass this down so everyone can
Let's
take
pass it down so Brandon can see it.
Okay, yeah.
Let's talk about your contributions. What were the things that you were the most proud to be able to put in there?
I can say what my contributions were.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I wrote the
Weird response, but okay.
I wrote the episode 9 sections.
Yes.
And then the comic sections of the book.
Great.
By comic, you mean like funny parts?
Yes, exactly.
Silly parts?
The little
jokes?
Yeah, jokes.
I mean, you did Babu Frick, right?
I did Babu Frick.
Pretty funny.
Very funny.
Pretty silly.
Very funny.
So, was there anything that you wished you could have written about that you didn't get to write about in there?
That's a great question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's footnote it the way that...
There are no footnotes in this book.
There's no footnotes.
No
This
footnotes.
isn't
No
like-
math. Well, actually, there's math.
There's math, but not like the Sopranos sections.
No,
which
that's
is
a
just
really
loaded
heavy
with
book.
arithmetic.
Yeah. What would I have liked to write for this?
What's the thing that they said? Under no circumstances is this going in our book.
It's a great question. I got to write the Babu Frick section, which was the most important.
Yeah.
I also got to write Wicket's son's section.
Oh, sure.
Which was very important for me.
What is his name again?
Pommet.
Pommet.
His section.
Now, what do you write in? Can you find Pommet's section and talk about Pommet? Just because Pommet's in that movie for 3 seconds.
Well, that's why it's hard being a writer.
Sure. Well, I want to know how you describe Pommet.
Right. As a nice boy.
Okay.
I think that's all he says in
Yeah.
but yes, that was the most important thing for me was making sure Pommet made the cut.
I have another one after Pommet. I'm curious. Did you write about Claude?
I did write about Claude.
Claude, the big yellow slug man.
Yeah. Are you
Right.
aware of how much currency Cloud has on Reddit?
What does that mean?
There's a Cloud-specific Reddit, subreddit, that is bizarrely active. Cloud was like in one of the first teaser posters, I think, along with like the whole cast. So people went, "Oh, this must be like one of the main new characters."
Right.
And then in the final film, I think he appears in one shot.
Do you remember his line?
What's his line?
I think it's ah.
It's sort of the opening sequence of the Falcon, and they're going through, and they pass by Cloud, and people like kind of have never given up on like he must have been important at some point.
Yeah. There's too much stuff in this book. Okay, here we go. Pommet Warwick.
Pommet Warwick. Ewok, Forest Moon of Endor, Bright Tree Village. Pommet Warwick is a young Walkling and son of Endor's most famous hero, Wicket. Growing up in his father's shadow, Pommet craves the worlds beyond his moon. When a Star Destroyer appears in the atmosphere above, Pommet is distraught, but its eventual destruction is taken as a potential sign from the Ewok's deity, the Golden One, which is
C-3PO.
C-3PO.
Wow.
That's for the real fans.
Yeah.
Was Walkling a word you knew upon
Yes.
writing the entry?
I did not make up the word Walkling.
Okay.
I think
I
think you made up the word Walkling. So.
My question was, did you start writing the entry and then have to ask someone, hey, what's the proper term? Or did you know that?
No,
already?
that's something that it was important to know. I think they asked me that before they asked me to write the book.
Hey, do me a favor. Look up Claude.
Also, while you're doing this, was there anything you had to ask about that like wasn't on Wikipedia that you were...
I want to make one thing clear.
Okay.
We don't use Wikipedia.
Shit!
Oh, shit!
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
It's going to be a trending topic.
Just wanted to...
Yeah,
we
yeah,
love
yeah.
Wikipedia.
Okay.
It's a great resource.
Sure.
But it's important to go straight to the
source.
To the book of truth.
Well, but George, is this stuff true? Is any of this episode 7,
It's all
8, 9
true
stuff?
from a certain point of view.
Right. But I'm asking you, for you, 7, 8, 9, the Abrams verse. Do I need to pay attention to that? Do I need to pay attention to what Disney is telling me is happening in your universe?
Well, as a Disney stockholder, as a very satisfied shareholder, why not? What else you got going on? Like,
not a lot.
I'm not here. Here's the thing I won't say. Like, I know which parts of Star Wars happened, but I'm a storyteller. I get it. Everybody wants to tell different stories, and the stories I wanted to tell about 7, 8, 9 were about the microbiotic characters, the Wills, these small, invisible. You can't see them in the first in episodes 1 through 6 or the Ewok movies. You can't see the Wills. Try as you might. Even when we started shooting digital 1080p for Attack of the Clones, you zoom in, you can't see the Wills. They're too small, but they control everything. And there's some very angry men who are deprived of these films out there. There may even be a few in this audience who have spent years bemoaning that they didn't get to see the adventures. You didn't know this was what you were necessarily clamoring for, but people were like, I wish that George had made those movies. What you were saying, if you ever said that, was, I wanted to see 3 movies that were about microbiotic characters called the Wills, W-H-I-L-L-S. Undoubtedly would have been beloved with no controversy at all. The website Reddit, you would have seen an unprecedented blossoming of a harmony among the fandoms. Oh, these films, what a solace they are to our aching lives that we've seen. Finally, films that can require no negative criticism whatsoever. George Lucas has finally done it. But instead, we got what we got, which is Star Wars stories, which seem to tell stories about the characters we know, doing things that maybe surprised us at times. which some people were like very angry that characters' lives went differently than you might have expected from the happy ending at the end of episode 6. That, oh, we thought based on that one good party they had that maybe it was smooth sailing ahead for all relationships and lives. That tragedy will find no quarter here. Star Wars is a happy place now that we've killed, what, 2 men?
If there's anything I think we've all learned from life experience is if you attend one good party with your friends, nothing bad will ever happen again.
Yeah, but I would say, like, if you enjoyed the Star Wars films, I think the Disney Corporation has provided a smorgasbord of different kinds of stories over the past decade or so. I'd say if you can't find anything you like in there, that's fine, but you just don't, maybe you're not happy. And maybe you'll find happiness somewhere else. But if you keep looking and getting angrier and angrier, or if you give up and say there's a lot of. I will say that like they do prioritize the quality of the acting in a way that I find interesting.
And by the way, there's an entire subreddit of people who are overjoyed with the existence of Claude.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a balance to these things.
Let's hear about him, Claude. I see that finger in that book.
Yeah,
What's this?
Here, I can pull
Let's
up
hear
here.
about him.
Do you know what species Claude is?
No.
I can't wait to find out.
He's a trototome.
Hell yeah,
Excuse me?
he
A
is.
trototome. T-R-O-D.
Mama, don't take my scrototome. Mama, don't take my scrototome. Mama, don't take my scrototome away.
He is a mechanic in the Resistance who, after a case of mistaken identity, joins Commander Rose Tico's crew on Agent Kloss. As a trototome, he can grab items with his 8 antennae and speaks in a language that only droids can understand.
This guy fucks.
That was the next line.
that rules.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a
They
good kid.
should let you do book readings. Like going to Barnes & Noble or something and just being like, Claude is a trototome. Claude, that would rule.
It would sell some books.
Yes, I would love that.
Now the thing is, how many pages is the encyclopedia?
Like 500?
So there's a limit. It's not exhaustive.
No. It's
Like
not.
you can't contain every fact. I will wager because obviously the universe has grown beyond my
expanded.
Participation in it. There are things in there that I had nothing to do with. And I am capable of being surprised by certain things. And I bet there's something that we're going to talk about tonight that is not even alluded to in that encyclopedia.
All right. What is it?
All right. I always look around. Something will catch my eye. A piece of Star Wars merchandise that I saw at Party City yesterday in Houston,
Texas. Yeah.
This is Star Wars Slimy Ooze. And they have, we gave out 2 test tubes of it in Houston. We're going to give 2 of them out here in Austin. They are test tubes filled with, that's right, it's goo. And
To be fair, it's slimy ooze.
it's slimy ooze, but colloquially, sometimes we'll say that's goo.
Is the slimy ooze, does it have a copyright or like an all rights reserve?
I don't know if this is any relation to Babu Frank.
Did he do something?
Baba Viscosa or Glue Visquese.
Now,
He's
can we-
Italian.
Let's, Mr. Soprano session says it's Italian, George. Can you
All
read
right.
the
I will. On the top of one, it shows a picture of Darth Vader, and it says Dark Side Ooze. And on the other one, it's got a picture of Yoda and says Jedi Ooze.
Now, as
Little
we
bit
were-
of a clue as to what this is.
As we were talking about last night, the packaging, the vials, the tubes for this slimy ooze look so close to being lightsaber shaped, and yet they're not in a way that feels pointed. That someone took a real stance about putting in a little extra amount of work.
It also, these have not been opened, but when
Yeah.
I went just now, both caps were loose.
They're leaking.
Like in the packaging, the caps were loose.
I also called out last night that among the most notable lightsaber colors, green, blue, red, this is none of those. This is a very particular hue that I said doesn't exist in the Star Wars audience, and then someone yelled out, it's Toydarian blue.
That was me. I was the one who yelled that out.
You have to understand, I'm very egalitarian. When I'm in the theater, everyone is of equal importance.
Now, we are going to give out both of these test tubes full of slimy ooze, Baba Viscosa.
It's Italian, Matt.
It's
It is.
Italian, like Tony Soprano.
He was a cardinal.
Like Tony Soprano, but also like his therapist, Dr. Melfi.
Very much.
So many Italians in The Sopranos. Is there
Is there... Can you
is
check...
there any mention of Baba Viscosa? It sounds like a good curse that you could say to someone. Baba Viscosa. Anyway, I do want to, before we give this out for legal reasons, I do want to go through what little information we have about the Star Wars slimy ooze Baba Viscosa. All right. Caution. Potential eye, skin, and ingestion irritant. In case of contact with eye or skin, flush eye with water, wash skin thoroughly. In case of ingestion or continued irritation, seek medical advice. Adult supervision recommended. Non-toxic, not for human consumption. So don't eat it. Don't put it on your skin. Don't put it in your eyes.
Just leave it in the tube.
No, it's no fun. You gotta take it out of the tube.
But then how are you going to get it back in the tube?
Use a spoon.
It's a very simple toy. As long as you don't touch it, let it touch you, or touch anything else, you're going to have a great time.
Patrick, human beings are distinguished from the other creatures in the animal kingdom by our use of tools. Now, if you think, great, I just won't let it affect me physically, but I can let it interact with other things in my home. Slime can stain walls and furniture. Not suitable for wood, walls, fabric, or other porous surfaces. So if you're gonna take this slimy ooze and you think you got a surface that's just right for it, you better make damn sure it's not porous. Retain this information for future reference. I'm not giving out the card back, so remember it. Eyes, skin, mouth. I'm gonna say any hole. I don't mean to be indiscreet or indelicate, but I worry if I just say mouth, people are gonna get ideas. And I don't think, they don't say it explicitly, but I think it's deeply implied. I think that's actually what they mean when they say other porous surfaces. Keep it away from your holes. Ingredients. Ingredientes. Just so you know what exactly we're giving out. All right, this is important. I realize we're all here to have fun, but it's also important to be safe. Like when we're making movies and we're going fast. Gotta be smart, gotta be safe, gotta know what you're dealing with. Ingrediente number 1. Deionized water. Whoa.
No ions.
Yeah! No ions. Carboxyl methyl cellulose. Guar gum. Not a lot of guar fans, interesting. Propylene glycol. I like the variety. Different reactions for each thing. Glycerin. Borax.
Right on.
My wife. And last but not least, phenoxyl ethanol. Now, how are we going to decide?
Last night, I should mention, last night, one of our guests on this show was an astronaut. When you were reading the ingredients list.
Are any of you astronauts?
We should have asked at the top of the show.
Yeah.
When you were reading the ingredient list, at one of them, he went, "That's antifreeze."
Which one? Propylene glycol.
Propylene
Are
glycol.
you an astronaut? Okay.
Wait.
You could be.
Do you want one of these?
Yeah. Come on up.
Come up.
Come on up. Light side or dark side? That's the
Jedi
light
one?
side.
Wait. No, that's interesting. Are you a Star Wars fan?
Great.
Okay.
Great. We love that.
We said light side or dark side, and you said whichever the Jedi one is. Now, some people might think, oh, they don't know. But it's a continuum, you know? You can go, that if you've watched any of the movies, you know how easily you can move from one side to the other.
Yeah, only a Sith deals in absolutes, and your answer made it clear that you are not a Sith.
Be very careful coming up these stairs, but this is Jedi ooze. Again, Now, just tell me, what are the rules? Eyes? Skin? I mean, basically, don't put on anything that you value.
Holes, wood.
Fabric, surfaces that porous surfaces. So a non-porous surface that go nuts. All right, but it's not a snack. It's not a snack. All right.
I don't know how you dispose of it though. Like I don't. If you have to put it in like a medical waste container, I'm not sure.
It is a sacred responsibility that we are giving you. Hey, do you have a record player?
Oh, George.
Surprisingly, yes.
You do? You want the George Lucas Talk Show record?
This has been out of print for so long, and people are like fighting for these online.
Limited item. And hey, wait a second. If I'm not mistaken, if you want to slide out that disc, take a look at the color of the vinyl. I'm not wrong about this, right?
Yeah, this is like the closest thing we've ever done to a David Blaine moment.
This is true.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hang on, almost there. Almost there. It is Toydarian Blue.
Look at the ooze next to the vinyl.
But don't pour the ooze on the record. All right? If Harrison had been here, you know what he would have said just then? Get the hell out of my house. If you've seen the David Blaine clip of the orange. Anyway, you can put it back together at home. No. You're not. It's not that you're not wanting. It's just this isn't really a segment of the show where we. I mean, although it could be. Put the record back in. Put the record back in.
Put the record back in. Put the record back in. Put the record back in. Put the record back in.
See,
He's not doing it.
I was too fast to dismiss that being a potential recurring segment on the show. Thank you for your help.
George, I was not planning to bring this up on the show tonight.
Yeah.
But we did a show in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
We drove post-show late
Yes.
to Austin.
Yes.
So we could just book one Airbnb in Austin rather than one night, one city, one night, the other city. Fairly long drive, fairly late.
Yeah.
George spent conservatively 1 straight hour of the drive, at least, singing one line repeatedly, with minimal variation.
There's a movie out, nothing to do with me really. There's a movie out coming out starring Timothy Chalamet where he plays Robert Zimmerman, who sings the song at the end of More American Graffiti like a Rolling Stone.
Now you know who he's talking about.
So I was making a reference to a current movie by singing a number in the style of the main character
I
from.
want to be very clear, though. Here's what's happening. We're driving for maybe 15 minutes in dead silence. None of what George just felt the need to say was said to us. The silence was just broken entirely sans context by what you're about to hear.
So if you care to find me, look to the western skies. Everyone deserves a chance to fly.
Then he would pause for like a minute and then would do it again. And no one was talking
So if
in
you care to
between.
find me, look to the western skies. Everyone deserves to fly.
I don't even think we were out of Houston yet. No, not even out of Houston yet, and that went on for a very long time. And then as soon as George stopped singing, he immediately fell asleep. Immediately fell asleep.
Oh, if you can't find me, look to the western skies. Everyone deserves a chance to learn to fly.
I don't know if anyone's clocked the fact that the lyrics are subtly wrong. He's like 5% off.
In the classic folk tradition. There's always, these songs are passed on through the oral tradition. They're going to change somewhat, have a different take on it.
Like Star Wars itself.
That's right. That's right.
Andrew, we've been talking a lot about Disney tonight. You recently made a movie with Disney.
I engaged with Disney.
You engaged with
I
Disney.
engaged with Disney. I wrote a few drafts of their Lady and the Tramp.
But you got the
reboots.
credit.
I got the credit. Yeah,
You got the credit
you
on
got
the
to
live
go to
action Lady and the Tramp.
arbitration and fight for the credit, but I got the credit.
Yeah. What is it like? Because we talked about this in the car last night too. A lot of these live action remakes are like twice the length of the animated film.
I think this one was about twice the
Right?
length. Yeah.
What is it like to have to stretch out a movie or fill in holes in the story and add in new set pieces? Like, Is that easy knowing that this movie is so beloved by so many people, or was that
I
tough?
think there was an expectation that we were not going to do better.
Great place to start.
Wow.
And I don't think the goal.
That's the
I don't
most
want to speak for
astonishing
Disney.
That's a good,
diplomacy I think I've ever heard.
but that's a good feeling, though, right? Like when we made Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, we knew this wasn't Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Sure.
We're revisiting this world in a different way.
It was different. Yeah,
Was there something that you were you a fan of the original Lady and the Tramp?
I'm not a chapter and verse fan, but it's great. It's a great movie if you guys have seen the original. I
have a
recommend
favorite?
it after you watch the reboot. Then you go back and revisit
Do you
the
have
original.
a favorite part that isn't the Piscetti kiss?
Oh my gosh, what happens in that movie? There's a couple of dogs, and
He's a
here's
tramp.
the thing. Here's what makes it great. Here's what I appreciated about it, and when the kind of opportunity floated into my field of vision to jump on one of these Disney, because they were doing everything, and I was talking to a producer and I was like, "What haven't you done that?" And that one came up. And it's the one. There's no magic in the movie. It's a little indie movie about dogs walking around in sheds before sunrise with dogs, and I
Right.
like that,
Right.
and that appealed to me. And so, I thought maybe I know how to do something with this. I figured, we're probably going to make it twice as long and explain everybody's psychology and stuff, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
Because I figured out, it's very clear when you watch the original movie. It's never spelled out what they do. They do this elegant thing. It took a long time. You got to draw all those cells one by one. It's a bunch of. They had to make like mini stillies.
Yeah.
And
That's funny. That's a funny term.
and put them in a row. So so you're not going to waste any time. You're not. You got to. There's a lot that's implied, and it was very clear to me watching the movie. You go, oh, they don't say it. But Tramp once had a loving home and was abandoned, and this is where all this attitude is coming from.
Yeah.
And I thought, what we can do? We could say it. Mm-hmm. We can spend 10 to 20 minutes saying that.
Now we're in,
And so that's what I got paid to write.
I quote Lady and the Tramp in the Star Wars movies.
Where is that?
Well, what is Han Solo called?
Oh, yeah.
Scoundrel.
Lady. Yeah.
Scoundrel. He's a tramp. He's a scoundrel. Yeah. Also, they also have the Nemoidian cats in that movie.
And that was incidentally, very clearly, this was, no notes were necessary. It was very clear. The first special edition thing we're doing is cats were out. First
Took
thing.
a moment.
Because the thing is, when they animated the movie in 2D animation, they didn't have the technology to not have the cats be Nemoidian. So now the technology, it's just one of those things. Sometimes you make a movie and you don't have the technology. Like, we didn't have the technology to have one character not shoot first at another character. And then technology evolves, and now we can do it. We have the right cameras, we have the right microphones. Like, because I tried so hard to make it, let's take it again. Oh, the camera's just not catching it. The microphones aren't picking it up. Yeah. We can't light it right. It just looks like Han shooting first. And similarly, when they wrote the script, recorded the songs and the dialogue, designed the characters, and then they'd have to draw the pencil animation and then the cells, and they'd paint the back of the cells in the 1950s for Lady and the Tramp. They just could not make those cats not Nemoidian.
Yeah, I mean, George and I have been talking about this a lot. But the 2024, 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace, right? And it does feel like in a lot of ways, the public perception of Phantom Menace is a little kinder than it was upon release.
Yes, like for instance, at this very theater, this month I noticed they're paying tributes to the Phantom Menace anniversary year by airing one of the other great Phantom movies of the last few decades, which is Phantom Thread.
Yes.
So thank you, Austin Film Society,
A
for your
spiritual sequel.
very subtle tip of the hat to your favorite movie.
And look, George is not one to hold grudges. He's not bitter.
I don't do that.
But he has brought up many times. You look at a lot of the criticism of the film at the time. I'm not pointing fingers at you, Matt.
Well, George, it changed everything.
It did.
It changed everything.
But also,
you know that.
That's why I did it. I wanted to change everything.
A lot of people, when the film came out, said, "What is this plot? Why do kids care about this? This isn't exciting. This isn't Star Wars." 25 years later, arguing about whether or not to place tariffs on the Moidians feels pretty relevant. That's all I'm not going to say it's good. I'm just going to say a lot of people seem to think that's a pretty important plot line.
Yeah, they said it was boring and confusing, but guess what? When you go to Walmart next year, you're going to notice the plot of Phantom Menace has kicked in thoroughly.
We live in the plot of Phantom Menace.
And that's the thing.
For
like,
better or worse.
Those movies changed everything. They changed cinema. The only thing that they couldn't change was the dirty diapers of all the crybabies who don't like Star Wars movies sometimes.
There weren't enough hands.
Couldn't do it.
There weren't enough hands in the
Couldn't
world.
do it.
Yes.
But now, Matt, have you come to love the prequels, or are you still?
I'll say this. According to the article I'm reading, Matt really enjoyed the second half of Attack of the Clones and really loved most of Revenge of the Sith.
That's true.
Look at that.
So basically, starting from when I showed up through.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I called Revenge of the Sith a downer 70s movie for 9-year-olds, if I recall.
That's
which I meant as a compliment.
That's exactly. And the thing is, I'll admit, I shot The Phantom Menace on film. So that's probably why it wasn't as strong as the other two movies for you, because we didn't have the technology. If I could have shot, imagine if I could have shot Phantom Menace in 180p. 180p. How good it would have looked. Yeah. Just because Attack of the Clones...
Like Pixel Vision, basically.
There was a hot second where I bought a bunch of audio cassette tapes, and we were going to shoot episode 2 using a Fisher-Price Pixel Vision camera.
George did a bunch of tests with Sadie Banning, and they were close to landing on a look they liked, and they couldn't quite get there.
Couldn't do it. I remember saying, I can't see Watto's whiskers.
Yeah. And they'd spent so much time rendering them. You said, if we can't see them, then what's the point?
Yeah, if we can't see Watto's whiskers, what are we doing? And that's when we went 180p. Less than you can do on your telephone now. Anyone here who has a telephone probably can film something in higher resolution than Attack of the Clones.
180p is less than you could do on a landline phone right now.
Yeah. I wish I could go back and shoot Phantom Menace on a landline phone. That would have been...
I remember sometimes on set you'd just be holding up a receiver just as backup to see if anything went through.
Just so we have it. That's what I'd always say. I'd say, just
with
so
one
we
of the
have
long
it.
cords. Yes.
Stretched all the way from the back wall.
It's wrapped completely around you. He's trying to get a...
You're going to regret if you didn't get it.
Let's just real quick go down the line and say your favorite Star Wars movie. I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm curious now.
Star Wars.
Oh, all of them?
No, that's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Are you talking about A New Hope Episode 4, the one that came out a few years ago on Disney Plus? The Disney Plus premiere? The McClunky cut?
Is that the one?
It's the one where he says McClunky, yeah. You like that, but you probably, I know what you're doing. You're talking about the rough cut that we released in theaters for Oscar consideration.
Yes.
The work print that was nominated for Best Picture, but the Academy of their wisdom decided to give the win to Woody Allen for Annie Hall.
Yeah, aged perfectly.
It's held up really well, Academy. Good thing you didn't give it to Star Wars.
No, I mean, that's my favorite one.
That's your favorite one?
Yeah, Star Wars.
What do you like about it so much?
Well, I mean, a lot of it was when I saw it. I mean, I'd never seen anything like that.
Right.
It changed your life.
Did you have a favorite character? Someone you identified with? Who was your point of view character? In A New Hope, was it Watto in A New Hope?
I was there watching from a distance. I'm kind of you in the audience going, God, I let it all get away from me.
Yeah. I wanted to be Darth Vader. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well.
So you really wanted to be Anakin. That's who Darth Vader is.
Right.
That's his...
Yeah, so...
Annie, as they call him. The sun will come out tomorrow. That's
I like the way you say. I like the way you say Annie.
Thank you.
It lives in my mind.
Annie.
Little Annie.
Little Annie. Little orphan Annie. Not an orphan for long.
I think we all get to sort of decide what the canon is for ourselves.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I think we just get to.
What is this, a Waldorf school? What do we have, Montessori? Oh, everyone pick your own whatever. Okay. All right, I guess there's no rules anymore. Same question.
Same answer, man. I'm sorry. But I have a lot of I'm curious about McClunky in particular.
Yeah.
And because my understanding is that was literally your last word as you handed off to Disney. You would, and a friend of mine also pointed out, can you confirm this, that you sold Lucasfilm to Disney on the last day of the Mayan calendar?
No, no. This was a tax thing. The tax laws were about to change, and if I didn't sell Lucasfilm before the new year,
but it's like
was
the
gonna
end of
cost
the
me.
fucking world.
What?
The end of time. I think.
Yeah, it was the billionaire's Mayan calendar.
I understand. Yeah. No, I appreciate
in the
that
book?
you would be on that
Well,
calendar.
no, but the thing is, if I hadn't sold Lucasfilm to Disney, the world would have ended. I prevented the end of the world.
That makes sense. But as you handed it off to them, as you handed them the keys,
Yeah.
you said, I got one more thing to say, McClunky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was basically, I handed it to Disney, I'm like, it's finished. I finished Star Wars.
It was your rosebud.
Yeah.
McClunky was your rosebud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love McClunky. But that said, that wasn't the thing I felt.
Right.
I fell in love with the original.
Right. But in the original, Greedo goes to shoot Han Solo. He fires off a shot. Han Solo says, wait a second. You don't shoot at me. I have to defend myself. Like, this is all in the eyes. This is all in the... It's a split-second moment. I can't let this guy... I don't want to be a killer, but I have to defend myself. If someone's trying to murder me, these are the circumstances in which it is justified that I return fire in a split second.
Yeah.
But the thing that we weren't able to do, no matter how many times we tried holding the microphone, because he's wearing a rubber mask, so we couldn't hear him. Every time we said McClunky, it just was so deep in the mix. I said, can we boost it in some way? He said, no, it's these analog microphones. We can't do it. We can't do it. Because he has to say McClunky. Because McClunky means I'm going to shoot you. You're going to be dead. As soon as I shoot you with my laser gun, it's the end of your life, Han Solo. Get ready. That's what McClunky means. So as soon as Han hears that, McClunky, holy shit, I know what that means.
Right.
I'm about to die. What do I do? What do I do? I guess I'll return fire.
And it was in 2012 that the technology was developed for you to dig McClunky out of the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The McClunky that you hear is not a newly recorded thing. Right. Those are from the 1977 analog tapes when we were filming the movie, and we're just finally, it's like, did you see that Peter Jackson Beatles documentary where they had the conversation in the canteen at Abbey Road Studios, and they had a microphone in the flower pot, but we can never hear because all of the clang of like, oh, I like some beans on toast. Will you give me my lunch?
Clank, clank,
hello,
clank,
hello,
clank,
hello,
clank.
hello.
Click,
It's
click,
Tom for
click.
Tom for tea. And
Teacup.
finally they were able to pull it out, and they get it in the original recordings, McClunky. I said, let's put it back in. That's a picture wrap on picture wrap on Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
That is my favorite part of Get Back, by the way. Where Ringo's like, and I said McClunky, and he looked at me, and I said McClunky back. We could finally hear it for the first time.
Now, as a contributor to the Star Wars Encyclopedia, I imagine it's maybe very difficult for you to choose a favorite film.
Well, you wrote about Rise of Skywalker, so it's
Yeah,
gotta be
is
Rise
that
of
my
Skywalker,
favorite
right?
Star Wars?
Is that your favorite one?
No.
Why not?
I think Return of the Jedi
Oh,
is the best Star Wars movie.
we got ourselves a Marquando.
I know.
head.
It's mostly the direction. No.
Oh, you just like the story
Sure.
most?
The narrative art.
The happy ending?
Yeah.
You like
And
the fact that it's the same plot as Episode 4, but you don't notice so much?
Bigger ship.
Bigger ship?
Yeah.
Brandon's also you're a little creature boy.
I'm a little creature boy. I love the walklings.
You like walklings, you
Yeah.
like guys in masks.
Don't you like how we've seen a Death Star and we see a same size Death Star, but it's not quite finished, but then you just have to process intellectually that it's more powerful, even though we don't see it demonstrated in any way that it's more powerful. It's just because we're not talking down to kids. We're saying, understand this. Understand this. We're showing you something. It looks not as threatening as what you've seen before. But think about it. It's actually more threatening. Process and understand this as an idea. Don't just trust what you're seeing. Oh, that looks like it's not done.
That's it's a life lesson, I think, for the kids, and you did that.
I really appreciate how you're standing up for ambiguity tonight.
You have to. It's all ambiguous. Like, you see Shmi Skywalker and you think, oh, is this a master mechanic?
Positive stereotype.
I don't. Well, we never see her doing any mechanical work, really.
I wasn't going for a high five, but we can do it. No, I was just gesturing towards George.
Oh.
No, but yes, it's an ambiguity. You let the audience sit in that.
Yeah, just understand. Well, she's not just, she's Watto's slave. Presumably she's doing work around here. Probably a pretty talented mechanic. We don't need to see it. All right, there's show, not tell. And then there's also don't show, don't tell. Have an underlying truth that may or may not even be implied in any of the text or the scenes, the visuals, the soundtrack, any of the accompanying lore.
And let's be clear. If
Yeah.
George had explained all that stuff at the time, Disney would have paid him $2 billion tops. But as you know, Andrew, Disney loves being able to answer things that were too subtle the first time. So by leaving those things vague in the past, Disney's got a lot of territory to rip into, to fill in.
Yeah.
You know what I always wanted to change in Return of the Jedi? They have
Tell him.
Tell me.
Yeah.
You can tell us too.
I'm
but
going to tell him. Okay. They so at the end of the movie, they burn Darth Vader on the pyre, and it goes up into the sky, and then they have the big party scene. They should just switch those. Just switch it.
He'd be the end.
Yeah.
But then
Just
you
do
wouldn't
the
get the ghosts. You wouldn't get the ghosts at the end.
Well, maybe you could lose the ghost, but you do the big party scene.
You
and
start
then
pulling, see how you pull that thread? First you were just like, burn dad, then party. You're like, no. Party, then burn dad.
Yeah.
But now you realize, oh, but then we don't have ghosts at party. You're like, well, get rid of the ghosts.
The movie would just be a little bit shorter.
But also no ghosts at party?
Well, you could have the other ghost.
What?
You could have the other ghost.
Other ghosts?
Yeah.
So at the end of 6 movies that we've sat through about Anakin Skywalker's journey, he's the only ghost who doesn't get to go to the party?
Maybe you could.
What's his classic line when he gets to go off and be a Jedi? He says, yippee! Classic party talk.
You could do the ghost as like a post-credit scene then.
Well, at the time, this is pre-Bueller. I'd already had to resign basically after paying a huge fine from the Directors Guild because I said, let's put the director's name at the end of the movie rather than starting the movie out with resumes of like, look who worked on this movie. Which is not, you don't begin a story with all the credits. You say Star Wars and here's what's happening.
Too many
and then
spoilers.
At the end, what?
It's too many spoilers.
It's also outside of the world of the story.
Yeah, I agree.
It's breaking the reality.
Sometimes I watch old movies with George, and he turns to me, he says, what am I, a job recruiter? All these resumes on screen? I'm trying to engage with the fantasy.
Yeah, imagine if I started to tell you a story. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there was a princess. In real life, they were played by, and then you start saying the name of the person who's not in the story. You'd start to think, this is taking me out of the story. And so the idea that I was going to monkey around with the credits, putting more scenes, if I got fined like $250,000, what was it? Because I put Irvin Kershner's name at the end of Empire Strikes Back. The DGA said, George Lucas, you owe us a check for $250,000. And I wrote the check, but I said, I'm out of the guild after this. Okay? I'm done.
FICOR, baby.
I'm done. Well, that's the Writers Guild. I'm FICOR. Yeah, it's a whole complicated thing. Imagine how much they would have loved to try to charge me if I added more scenes after everybody's credits at the end of the movie, if I put more movie at the end. But then, of course, John Hughes changed everything. He had Bueller not only do an end credit sequence, he talked right to the audience. He said, what are you still doing here? Well, you get out of the theater. This kid just skipped a whole day of school. Okay? This kid broke all the rules. And then after they'd credited all of the artists and craftspeople who made the film, the fiction film, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Ferris Bueller had one more prank to pull, which is to turn to the camera and talk to the people who had paid to watch him skip school and he tells them to leave the theater. That changed everything. Yeah.
And that's why Brandon's favorite movie is Return of the Jedi.
All right. Matt, what's your favorite Star Wars?
Well, at one time I would have said the original or The Empire Strikes
Phantom
Back.
Menace?
Well, this is a surprise even to me, but I think it has to be Revenge of the Sith now.
Whoa.
Yeah. I've watched it so many times. It's on cable, and it seems like every hour of every day, and there's never a point when I don't want to watch it.
Does the lack of Watto irk you at all? Do you not sort of feel that itch watching it? If I wonder what Watto would say about this?
I feel a twinge of sadness sometimes when I think about the fact that you're not in it.
We shot the scene. We did shoot the scene.
What was it about?
It was me watching on TV. The Obi-Wan Anakin fight. And me going like, is that... Oh, Jesus Christ. He turned out weird. Never should have let go of that one.
Dodged a bullet there.
Well, no, if he had stayed in my home.
Yeah, you would have dodged a bullet.
Yeah, well, he would have dodged the bullet.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And I believe at the end of the scene, your TV breaks, and you yell, somebody come in here and fix it. And then you realize you have no slaves left.
This is the problem.
And then you say,
Yeah.
remember the classic line you say?
Yeah. Well, this was the thing. But the reason we cut it out was...
What was the classic line you said?
Well, I'm about to tell you.
Yeah, you're going to hear it.
The reason we cut it out was because the scene, I will admit, was 45 minutes long.
You never saw that fight except through the point of view
Correct.
of Watto watching it on
So
TV.
Were you making ramen before?
I am.
Why
So
was
it
it that
starts with
long?
me making ramen. It's like the Brad Pitt macaroni and cheese scene, right? You start with me making ramen, and I put a little cheddar cheese on top, which some people think is sacrilegious, but it's actually kind of traditional. And then I sit down, I turn on the TV. I'm flipping through some other channels. I watch some other things.
And it's a live report from, what's that planet? Mufasa, the volcano planet?
Mustafar.
Yeah.
Mustafar, the Lion King.
Yeah,
And-
Mufasa, the
right.
volcano planet.
Yes, I always wanted a brother.
And it's spelled Mustafar, but it's pronounced Mufasa.
Correct.
It's the volcano planet.
Yes.
And,
So I'm flipping through the channels. I see.
and there's
I
a
go,
journalist,
What's this?
but he's not a normal journalist. He has
Yeah.
feet for ears. Oh, that's weird. And
That's how you know it's space.
yeah, that's how you know it's
Right.
space. It's how you know it's the past.
Right.
It's how you know it's far from here. He's
Right,
a
and
journalist.
He's, like,
a television.
Hello, my name is Terrence Footears, and reporting here live from Mustafa, pronounced Mustafa, but spelled
Mufasa.
Mustafa, Mufasa, and quite a weird sight happening here. And I go like, let me get my spectacles, and I put them on, and I'm like this, I'm trying to clean them off. That takes another 5 minutes, and then I watch the fight, and I go like, little Annie, and I'm like this, and I'm watching it, right, and then the TV starts fritzing out, as you said.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
45 minutes later, the TV.
somebody come. Well, that's like 20 minutes in.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, somebody come fix this. And no one comes. There was 15 straight minutes of me just whacking the side of the TV. And at first thought it was like the movie's running a tight 4:15. We might need to cut something. I go, the scene, if you pull it, if you shrink it, the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing.
And it's partly my fault because we were going to do it in 2 takes, and there was going to be a break in the scene, and we were going to get it. And just this was take 1.
Yeah. It was one,
I was
it
sitting
was a
there, and
oneer.
I was sitting there, and they were looking at me to cut. I said,
Yeah.
no, keep it rolling.
They call me one take Watto for a reason.
Because we were gonna cut when you started banging the
No.
TV because that's a clean edit. Any
Right.
of the hits of the TV, it's a clean
And
edit.
I'm
point.
like peripheral
You know
vision.
what
I'm
talking
locked
about.
into the scene. But
Yeah.
peripheral vision, I'm seeing George. He's holding crew guys back like this. He goes, let him cook. Let him
They
cook.
were trying to
Yeah.
cut the camera.
Yeah, and he said Watto's on something. He's
Yeah.
found
This is-
something.
This is 2 decades ago. I
Yeah.
said, let my man cook.
Yes.
2
He
decades
invented the
ago.
phrase.
Yeah.
No one knows that. He never asked for credit.
I don't need credit. At this point, what are we talking?
I'm hitting the TV for 15 minutes, and George goes, look, it's good to have. Who knows if we use all of it? And then the problem was I delivered that famous final line, and at that moment you said either use the whole thing or nothing. I keep hitting the TV.
Gonna stand in the middle while you say
Yeah,
it.
I'm hitting the TV really hard, and then suddenly it goes, it shuts down. It's not even static image anymore, it's shut down. And I'm just standing there with the dead TV, and I go, ugh. I knew I should have watched Jerry Springer instead.
Dun, 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 dun.
And so I said, we want to reach out to Jerry. We want to make sure this is okay with him. Because he didn't ask to be spotlighted this way.
Just a friend of the camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there had been that scene in the movie, it would have been the greatest movie of all time.
I mean, I knew that was what the danger was. Because we had actually made a movie that was too good to see. That was the true. I don't know how many people have read the novel Infinite Jest, but there's a reference. Yeah. There is a reference. To something called The Entertainment, and it's a thing that basically the plot of that movie. We had essentially done that. We had essentially created a movie. We had created a movie that was so good. You remember I turned to you, I said, Watto, come into the editing bay. I haven't shown anybody else this. Yeah. And we looked at each other and we said, this is too good.
We are holding each other.
And I said, here's what I said, I'm gonna need to use the stuff that was just gonna be in the background.
The B plot.
The B. If we do this.
Yeah.
It's going to destroy everything.
Well, and George said, look, this is very generous of George, right? He said, at the end of the day, I'm making these movies for children. And this might push the kids away. This might be a little bit formally experimental for the children. And yes, I would be lauded to the high heavens, but it's not about me. I have to return the investment generations of children have given to this thing. And then I said, George, I think you're right. It's a tough decision, but I think you're right. 2 decades later, George calls me. He goes, Watto, you see the new fucking Cahiers de Cinema list? You see the Sight and Sound? You see the top 10? Some movie, 3 hours of a woman peeling potatoes. We had that. We had that in the edit. We knew.
Yeah.
And now suddenly it's fashionable.
But here's the thing. And that's a great movie.
Of course
it's a great film. We're not taking anything away.
No.
But they figured out a way to do it that would be safe, that wouldn't destroy the culture.
Right.
Like, we didn't have that. What we had was Red Hot Dangerous.
Yeah.
It was, and we lifted the footage, we pulled it, we de-rendered it by hand.
Yeah. Pixel by pixel. We had to pluck them out.
To make sure this could never, because the last thing we wanted, I said, God forbid, somebody finds this in the archives. And they decide to put it out.
Did it occur to you to maybe show it to some colleagues of yours, other directors, and get their
opinion? Showed it to me.
I showed it to Watto.
Yeah.
I think if I had shown this to Brian De Palma, it would have killed him.
I'm surprised that you didn't show it to David Lynch.
We wouldn't have had Inland Empire. All right, this is one of those things. Trust me, not a day goes by that I don't mourn the loss of that achievement, because as a storyteller, as an artist, we did it.
We did it.
Yeah. We were there. We were like Tucker, the man in his dream, the man who built a car so good it couldn't exist.
We built the best car, and we realized, in fact, the car was too good for the public.
This car's too good.
They weren't ready for the car.
I don't know if you've seen, I produced a movie for my buddy Francis, the director of Megalopolis. He once made a movie about a car that was too good. Too good to exist.
Andrew, what did you have to say?
No, could the technology ever exist for people to be able to watch this movie?
To re-render it.
No, we made sure of it. Salt the earth digitally.
Wow.
We salted the digital earth.
We would have to recreate it from scratch, and at that point, it would be a piece of historical reenactment. It wouldn't be the real thing.
Because the moment's passed.
The moment is passed.
Now we don't have the same kind. Like, everyone's watching different things. Streamies have sort of made it so like you only see the movies you subscribe to.
There is no monoculture. Whether Lucille Ball.
Yeah, where's our Lucille Ball?
Where's our Lucille
Where's
Ball?
our Lucille Ball?
I always call George in the middle of the night. I go, George, where's our Lucille Ball?
Lucy, where's our Lucille Ball?
George, we do gotta.
We also have.
Oh wow, we have
Dark
another
Side
thing. Well, we have a
Ooze
couple
to give out.
giveaways to give away.
Yeah,
so
let's give
figure
away a bunch of stuff.
Well, let's figure. Oh, let's save that for last, I guess. We went to Holocron today. Do you guys know Holocron? It's a gigantic Star Wars store here, and should I mean, we basically went around and said, "What's the cheapest thing we can find?" And we did find, George. Should we say how many? I believe it's 12 Rick Ollier action figures from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
We got any Rick Ollier heads in the house tonight?
He's the pilot of the Queen's ship. They were $1 each. We cleaned house. So we're going to give some of these out to the audience. Who wants a Rick Ollier action figure? Oh, man. Okay, a lot of people. I'm going to give one right here to the Woke Mind Virus kid himself.
Front row kid. He's been very tolerant sitting through
I guess
a very indulgent
let's all pick
show.
someone. I can run it out to people, but.
George, how do we... I feel like you enjoy coming up with criteria to identify the people deserving of the Olliers or whatever the giveaway.
First of all, who here already... I think we asked this before. Does anyone own a copy of my wife's book?
Did anyone leave one at home? Okay, how about this? We got one.
No, that one's lying. Are you lying? You're all lying.
Wait, but you can also... You all have phones. If you buy one now and hold up the thing, you're guaranteed... You're guaranteed to get a Rick Ollier...
Oh, my God.
What other criteria do you think would be deserving?
You want another one?
Yeah.
That's good enough for me.
We don't just give these to the have-nots. We give them to the haves.
Yes.
I think that's quite noble of us.
Believe in equality.
We're not just giving these out to people who need them because they don't have them. We're also giving people doubles.
Yeah.
Because we know that person really likes Rick.
We got a hand in the back here. What are you saying?
Oh, Terrence Stamp wants to go to your high school. Oh no, it's just a big basket of tennis balls. I've been tricked again. That's a great prank to play on Terrence. Tell him you have Natalie Portman and then just have a bunch of tennis balls. Yeah. Is there anyone named Rick? Or Rick or Richard? Or you know someone that this would be a great gift to give?
This guy wants one.
Or maybe you have a boss. You're like, my boss is a real dick. And you could be like, hey, I got this and thought of you. Secretly, because Rick's full name is Richard. And what's short
once
for
again,
Richard.
I want to say, if anyone's ordering the book online on their phone, hold up your phone.
Oh. Yep. Will you tell Richard Linklater that it's from George?
Hang on one sec. Sign this to Richard Linklater.
He's not going to give me shit.
Who else? Anyone else want one?
Oh, wow.
You got one of Matt's?
A math book.
Wow.
All right.
Patrick, it's my wife's birthday. She should get one.
Patrick!
Maggie gets a Rick Ollier. She has to keep it.
But the thing about that is, Brandon, you already have 4 at home. Where's
Maggie? She's right there. She's going to love this.
Hey, does the guy who already had one, do you want another one?
Triples is best.
Give him young Indiana Jones trading cards, too. Oh, wow, never heard that before. That sounds weird. And we still need to give out this Dark Side Ooze. Who said I need one? Did you say I need one? Who?
I'm sorry, you named the what R2-D2?
You named I'm sorry. I just have to add, did you name a chicken after R2-D2? All right, we're going to give this ooze.
I refuse to touch the ooze. You have to come get the ooze yourself.
You refuse?
I refuse to touch the ooze.
I just want to check it again. Has anyone taken it upon themselves to order a copy of Melody Hobson's Priceless Facts About Money? It's not too late. We have more giveaways. If you order one and let us know, you will get a free gift item.
And while we're doing that, George, we should start doing plugs.
Why? I have a good hairline.
You got to admit, he fucking burned
He
you
didn't
there.
burn me. You got me good
Yeah,
on
if
that
you
one.
want to, that's fine. You're young. Maybe it's
think
good
I'm
to start early. Make sure,
Yeah.
cut it off with a pass.
Sure.
Hey, look at this 1977 R2D2, but more importantly, listen. Pretty fun, huh? Does anybody want this?
You bought that today, George.
know.
I thought this
Hey,
was going to be.
You on your phone who you wanted to use before, and now you're on your phone. And you didn't name a chicken after R2D2. Do you want this 1977 R2D2 that does this? Come on up and get it. There you go. Yeah, I had a microphone before. It's pretty quiet in real life. But you can get like a home, like a karaoke system. Pretty basic.
Flashing the phone, can you come up the stage so I can verify? I believe this person has purchased a copy, and you as well. If
Come
you're
on up.
flashing your phone. Let me see this. Okay. Confirmed shipping tomorrow.
You can't cancel this.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for ordering. Here is a second copy of Melody Hobson's Priceless Facts About
Do
Money.
not cancel it. Do not
Well
cancel
done.
it.
There you go. A bargain at twice the price.
You don't want your Rick? You don't want your Rick?
Yeah, take a Rick.
get a
Take
Rick.
a Rick for
Take
the
a
road.
Rick.
Take a Rick for the road.
Take a Rick and some Young Indiana Jones trading cards. What do you think happens to Tony at the end? You think he dies?
Look at Mr. Ambiguity over here.
I don't know. It cuts. He's in the diner, and then it cuts, and they don't show us any more scenes.
Yeah, I do think he dies eventually.
You don't think he's immortal? What indication in the series that he's not immortal? Like, what do you have that proves he doesn't live forever?
I don't. That because of where he chose to end it, you can make up any ending you want.
What do you think happens to Kevin Finnerty?
I think he does die.
You think Kevin Finnerty?
Yeah, in the
this
other
is
dimension.
the dream Tony Soprano has. Sorry to spoil one of the many dream episodes of The Sopranos.
Season 6A totally getting spoiled right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that what's that car commercial that AJ and Meadow did? Is that canon? The one where they go park? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Residents of this town that we're in right now, AJ and Meadow, both the actors both live in Austin.
Yeah, both said no to doing
Did they
the show.
did a
Said
car,
no
was
to
that
doing
on
the
the
show.
Super Bowl or
Yes,
car commercial?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
yes.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
What about the podcast they do now? Do you think that's canon? Within the world of Sopranos?
I think canon is whatever you want it to be.
I think that's
great
a good
answer.
attitude. Yeah.
What about? Let's talk just for a second because we haven't really touched on the many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos movie. That is that effectively makes The Sopranos into a prequel series.
2 hours and 20 minutes into the show. This is a good time to unpack the many things.
We gotta wrap up.
Let's
I
find.
think that's actually the length of the movie,
That's true.
so it works.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did actually.
And
I
it
like
starts out with ghosts in the cemetery.
It is, and it's like I like the fact that it's it's the it kind of turns all of The Sopranos into basically The Shining with gangsters, with people who are just fated to always be the caretaker of the Overlook.
Here's my complaint, okay? Because I'm George's son, right? In so many ways. I'm raised in his worldview. They say, hey, we're putting a movie in theaters. Many Saints of Newark, young Tony Soprano. I go, finally, I can start The Sopranos. They finally started a young Tony at a jumping on point, right? So I go to see this movie. I go, it's episode 1. Here we go. Good place to start the story. Opening of the movie is a ghost going through a graveyard going, hey, there's the tomb of Tony Soprano. He murdered me. I go, spoilers? Aren't I supposed to watch this first? I was genuinely very upset.
Well, okay, this turned into a Sopranos thing, but I will say, who has watched that movie? Okay, all right.
So many.
I know, like 8. If you ever do watch the movie, and if you've seen The Sopranos, think about the final scene of The Sopranos, and then think about another scene that occurs in the diner in The Many Saints of Newark. And I think it changes your interpretation of the end of The Sopranos in much the same way that watching The Fabelmans will put a new frame around every movie Spielberg ever made.
And the scene of Watto hitting the TV would have done that.
I can't even tell you how much I wish that was, like, viewable.
It would have changed fucking everything. We didn't need that, though.
The rest of my life, I'm going to be picturing Watto slapping the TV, and I'm going to start laughing, and people are going to go, "Are you out of what's
And
wrong with you?
I was
What are
putting
you laughing
my shoulder in it. I was really kind of.
It's a cut scene from, forget it.
Yeah, a cutscene that the mere description of it has driven you to madness.
It has.
That's how good. That's
You
how
were
good.
right. You were right about its power.
Yeah. Even just talking about it here, I fear we may have put people in real danger. Well, we've covered all the topics.
Brian! Hellboy the Crooked Man. Hey. Streaming now? Available VOD?
It is available VOD, yes, the new Hellboy.
There you go. Also, go watch Mom and Dad, because I really loved Mom and Dad. A great
Watch
Nicolas
Gamer.
Cage.
Gamer rips.
Yeah.
Gamer is so good.
Yeah.
The only thing I would change about the new Hellboy is it needs that TV slapping scene.
Should've watched Springer.
45 minutes.
We earned it, though. We earned the 45.
Andrew, what should we watch, Andrew?
Do what now?
What should we watch?
What should you watch?
We're
You
gonna
watch
plug.
whatever,
We're
watch
gonna
whatever
plugs.
you want. Prop plugs. I don't know. I'm sitting. I'm trying to write. George, you gotta sit there and just bang your head against the wall, and it'll take a while to make something.
Go watch that Computer Chess Blu-ray,
You can
because it's a great
you can
Blu-ray.
watch
It's
the
got a lot of good
Blu-rays,
stuff on
watch
it.
Old stuff. Those of you in Austin, we're going to do a thing in. I'm an experimental filmmaker like you, George. So
We are
we're experimental
filmmakers.
filmmakers.
Brian, you want to get in on this? Experimental filmmakers?
I'm trying, man.
That's what experiments are all about, trying, but also do them.
My whole career has been an experiment.
Yeah, a successful one.
At times. You're being modest, but you should tell him we're starting a competitive tickling league in Austin.
Would, but it were so. I'm kind of out of that game. Anyway. So I made an experimental movie called There, and we're gonna and we made it into a 3-screen installation. We're gonna put it up here in Austin. You guys should all come and they'll promote it here at the Film Society because they're nice to me. So you'll hear about it through these guys. We're gonna do it at the Museum of Human Achievement in February, March. It's gonna be cool. There's a plug.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah,
My time to plug?
Yeah, your time to plug.
If you're looking for a good holiday gift,
Great.
Star Wars Encyclopedia is a great.
It's really
Yeah.
good.
It's a big boy.
Goes up to what? When does it? What is the most recent thing in there?
What is this?
I guess as far as movies or
Is
TV
this
shows.
show covered in the encyclopedia? Like, is
I
the
think
Watto
I think the
TV
Jar Jar
series?
era is covered, not the
Okay.
Watto.
Oh,
Got it.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It goes up till is Ahsoka in there?
Yeah, Ahsoka's
Yeah,
in there.
Ahsoka's there, which is pretty
Yeah,
recent.
that's pretty recent. Acolyte is not in there.
Yeah, I'll plug your podcast too.
So, my podcast. I have a podcast called Talking Bay 94, where I interview people that worked on Star Wars.
It's very fun.
Check it out. Lots of people.
Matt.
Well, I'm writing for Vulture/New York Magazine. I review movies for RogerEbert.com. I've got a book on the making of Asteroid City coming out in January, which you can pre-order if you're so inclined. But the main thing that occupies a lot of my time and my partner Judith's time is we have an arts bookstore. It's called mzs.press. New books, old books, rare books, a lot of signed books, and we make sure to price them as low as we can because we want to put books in the hands of people.
Yeah, it's great.
And I'll say
Follow
this.
them on Blue Sky.
If you're a George
Yeah, we're
Lucas,
on Blue Sky. If you mzs.press.
If you're a George Lucas talk show fan, if you're an AFS fan, there's a good chance, I should say rather, that you're a fan of real nerdy shit. And I go through the MZS press store a lot of times, and I find incredible stuff. I often go there looking for one item, and then I go, they have this in stock, and that for that price, and suddenly my cart 5 items at a bargain.
Well, we have a lot of older books there, like things that are like in that weird spot of 3 to 7 or 10 years old, and people seem to enjoy that because they didn't know it existed. So.
I believe I was adding on to an order, and I found you had a paperback copy of Pierre Boulez's original Planet of the Apes novel that
Yes.
the movies were adapted from, but with a tie-in cover to the Tim Burton Planet of the
Yes,
Apes.
yes, we have.
And I went, this is such a good object.
And I will say, there is, since you brought that up, there is currently, at this very moment, a copy of the novelization of Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
This is the
available.
kind of stuff.
This is the shit.
That's good.
Yeah.
Your Oliver Stone book is awesome.
Oh, thank you very
Yes,
much.
and it's I think bigger than this thing.
A little.
Maybe
it's
close.
It's a 6-pounder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big boy. It's great.
It is.
I'd
You don't
recommend
read.
that.
You don't read that in bed because it'll crack your sternum.
I'll plug that for you. That's an awesome one.
Thank you.
We brought a lot of posters and merch and stuff, and it's gonna be out the table out there. We're gonna come out and sign it, but come say hi to us. We got a lot of cool stuff, and we want to say hi and meet you guys because we're psyched you came out.
Matt, I was just looking in your bookstore, your online bookstore. I noticed it doesn't have every book.
If you're looking for skywalking, we always sell out.
I'm looking for my wife's book.
Well, I will just say, it's in now.
Oh, right. Oh, you're going to resell a copy.
Should George sign it?
Can you
also put a copy of the book that my buddy Steve and I put out about Norman Rockwell.
Actually, that's probably going in too, because I'm a big Norman Rockwell fan. I love Stillies.
Oh.
Very funny. Funny phrase, Matt.
Watto, do you have anything?
Yeah, what do I have to say? Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in theaters this Christmas. Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog, finally. And what else to plug? No, George Lucas Talk Show Life Day specials.
Also, we're going to be at San Francisco Sketchfest and doing 2 shows in LA on February 4th. I don't know if anyone's going to be there, but just giving a heads up.
Yeah, and for me, I'll just plug my museum that's opening maybe in 2025, but who knows? It hasn't been announced yet. So maybe we're looking at another year pushback. Could be 2026. I'll let you know. Lucas Museum of Narrative Art in Los Angeles, the world's first museum devoted entirely to stillies and other forms of narrative art that is not necessarily cinema, but paintings that tell stories and so forth. A lot of stillies, mostly stillies. Come see the stillies in Exposition Park in Los Angeles. If you're passing through LA, decide, well, I don't have time for a movie. Maybe I'll watch 100 or so stillies. A few hundred stillies. Come to the museum. So it would be a good time. And I want to thank our wonderful guests thank you for coming. Thank Austin Film Society for having us. Thank you all for coming out to see us. And may the force be with you always.